Welcome to CivilNet. Today, my guest from New York is Nancy Kricorian, with whom we've spoken in the past because she is the author of several novels about the genocide and post-genocide experience of Armenians in various places in the world, in the Middle East, in the United States, in France. Today, we're going to speak with Nancy about a topic that's completely different. First, Nancy, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
And today we're going to speak with you, Nancy, because you are one of the signatories to a statement that was issued just recently by a number of North American celebrities, writers, actors, poets, artists, who found it incumbent to address a statement to, I think, the Armenian government, saying that you are, shall I read this or shall you?
I'll read it. Okay. In response to reports of draft anti-propaganda, in quotation marks, legislation in Armenia, modeled on Russia's recently passed and widely condemned bill, we, the undersigned members of the global Armenian community, say such attempts to codify anti-gay prejudice into law are contrary to our values. We believe in dignity, equality, and the right to self-expression for all people, regardless of religion, sexual orientation, gender, or race.
Thank you. And I want to say that this statement has received a generally positive reaction in Armenia. And I'll tell you, it's because the diaspora institutions have by and large been silent, been absent when it comes to Armenia's domestic issues, of which we have plenty. And so, in many ways, this kind of statement by so many of you, each of you who have risked so much in your professional careers to stay by the side of your Armenian identities, this is really welcome. How did this come about?
It came about, we started talking about it in August when there was, posted on the Armenian police website, this draft legislation, which would have discriminated against lesbian, gay, LGBTQ people in Armenia. And at the time we started talking about writing something, it was the Armenian Gay and Lesbian Association in New York, a number of individuals, Pink Armenia, the Women's Center in Armenia, we all, a bunch of people started talking. And so we drafted this thing earlier. We held on to it because there was so much heat and sort of controversy around the gender equality law, and there were actually threats of violence against people and so on, and we thought the timing wasn't right. So we waited until things cooled down and we released this, we held the statement, we were collecting signatures from people, and we released the statement yesterday because it seemed like, an opportune moment.
The names that are on the statement are wonderful names. They're big names like Serge Tankian, Atome Goyan, Arsene Khanjian, people like you, Nancy Kricorian, or Chris Bokhjalian, Micheline Aharonian Markham, people who have published books, not just one, but several, on issues that deal with our identity, which I've always said is already a way of risking and putting at risk your own professional careers. And now on top of that, you've chosen to speak out about an issue that is difficult in any society, let alone in Armenia. Why this issue?
I can't speak for everyone who's fine, but I know for myself that the way society treats its most sort of marginalized people is a litmus test for how that society deals with any kind of difference of opinion, difference of how people dress, difference of anything. So it seems like, you really have to stand up for, minority voices, minority experience within any community. And this seemed like an important time to stand up.
This has become quite a weird issue in Armenia because on the one hand, we have now for a couple of decades been saying, we're heading towards Europe, we're heading towards the West. And on the other hand, we're faced with issues that this very conservative, and that's putting it politely, society has a real hard time handling. And so when all of you, really important names, stand up and speak for this cause, on the one hand, it's amazing and great. And on the other hand, there are many people asking, is this going to be the end of it? Is this we haven't really heard from the diaspora in significant ways for 20 years. Will this be the first and last sort of effort, do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, a number of the people were the people who helped organize and write, draft, and collect signatures are people who are regularly engaged with Armenia and Armenian issues. Nancy Kricorian, for example, has taught in Armenia. I am on the board of the executive committee of the Armenia Tree Project, so I'm very engaged with, Armenian environmental issues. Everybody here, I mean, most of the people who signed on are highly, identify with being Armenian and feel a sense of connection to Armenia and feel a sense of responsibility to, we think of as our cousins.
I think that's fair. I mean, we are cousins. I wonder if there's anything more that can be done from the Armenia end to do more of this Armenia diaspora bridge building and engagement. Obviously the community here, the Women's Resource Center, Pink Armenia, as you said, reached out and asked for this support. What else can Armenia do in order to continue to benefit, if I can use that word, from the legitimacy and the credibility that you guys and your names have? What more can we do here? Because I'm going to ask you, what more can you do there?
Well, I think we want to really support what we see, that, connect people that we've met, the connections that we've made to nascent civil society movements and groups and organizations in Armenia. And I mean, I guess, as you said, it's to be in solidarity is often responding to a request. So if there were more requests, more asks that were of this kind, I think that people would respond to them.
You were also active, and I know you're active in many, many movements. You were active in Occupy New York. You do a lot of work with the Palestinians. What is it that triggers your involvement in those kinds of activities? Because I think that's a lesson to us.
I feel like, even in my fiction, even in my writing, I have a devotion to amplifying the humane in how people treat each other and how people behave in the world. And I have a commitment to dignity, equality, and justice. And I feel that commitment to those things apply in, occupied Palestine, as well as they apply in Armenia, as well as they apply in my neighborhood here in New York City. And, a lot of times you get involved with things because of personal, knowing people's stories. It's always about stories, and telling the stories. And once you know someone's story, you feel engaged with that person, you feel engaged with that story, and you feel that you have a responsibility to that person, to that movement, to that story.
Thank you, Nancy. Nancy Kricorian is the author of first Zabel and now most recently All the Light There Was, which are stories, the stories about ourselves that we've never told. And we here at CivilNet insist on sharing stories from Armenia, about Armenia. And we hope that our efforts, together with your efforts, will continue to build bridges between Armenia and diaspora.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nancy Kricorian, one of the signatories of the recent statement calling for equality for all of Armenian citizens, signed by more than 3 dozen important Armenian artists, writers, actors from North America. Thank you for following us on CivilNet.